Hey y'all, this is Miss Morgan. So today we are going to be going over narrative writing and dialogue. So we're going to be taking notes, so have a journal out and a pen or pencil, and we are going to go ahead and get started. So we're going to title this Narrative Writing Dialogue Rules. Okay, and so rule number 1. Rule number 1 is always use quotation marks around direct speech. Use quotation marks around direct speech. So that is rule number 1. What is direct speech? So example would be, she said, and then I'm gonna climb the wall. So I'm gonna climb the wall would be the direct speech. Rule number 2. Rule number 2 is punctuation goes inside the quotation marks. Usually it's a comma, but a question mark or exclamation point may also be used. A period is still needed at the end of a sentence. So we're gonna go ahead and write that out. And follow along with me, and if you need to slow the video down or pause it, you can. Punctuation goes inside the quotation marks usually it's a comma, but a question mark or exclamation point may also be used. A period is still needed at the end of the sentence. Okay, so what would an example of that be? A good example of that situation would be as follows. So this is an example. You can write example to help you remember what this was for. An example would be, what time is it? Asked Jake. So if you notice, in this scenario, Jake asked, what time is it? So that requires punctuation. So there's a question mark inside of the quotation marks, and then we have the dialogue tag, which is asked Jake, and then there's a period after that to complete the sentence. So what time is it? Asked Jake. So this is a good example of rule number 2. Okay. Rule number 3 is use commas to identify when direct speech is occurring. Use commas to identify, misspelled that, to identify when direct speech is occurring. So example of that would be, Joaquin said, I'm leaving. So we're going to do example. So we know it's our example. And then we have Joaquin said, and then we have a comma. So that's the comma it's talking about. Use commas to identify when direct speech is occurring. So Joaquin said, comma, and then I'm leaving is the dialogue. So Joaquin said, I'm leaving. And this is the dialogue tag, Joaquin said. So does that make sense? And then we have rule number 4. Indent each time a new speaker is saying something. Speaker is saying something. So we're just going to be sure to indent every time a new speaker is saying something to distinguish the quote. So these are our 4 rules, and we will practice them more in another activity.